Welcome to Scholar Opportunity Nexus, and in today's series of video, we'll be tackling the topic bearing, or we'll be looking at the basic meaning of bearing. In our everyday lives, you see or you observe people saying, "What's your bearing? What's your bearing? Or what's your bearing?" And this basically they are just trying to ask, like, what's your direction? What's your aim? What's your goal? Where are you going to? So, in relation to that, when we bring it to physics or math, bearing is just an angular representation of direction. Mainly focuses on what direction. So it's just the angular representation of direction. And in bearing, we always use the cardinal point. That's the cardinal points that we have, our usual cardinal points. This is cricket. Our cardinal points, the north, the east, the south, and the west. So this is basically what we used in bearing. So we are trying to represent a direction. That's like we are taking into consideration the angles of this cardinal points when using bearing. Or that's the basic meaning of what bearing is, the angular representation of a direction. So in bearing, there are some things that we'd have to know or we'd have to look at before representing quantities such as vectors in a bearing form. So in bearing, one, the bearing is in 3 digits. Bearing is in 3 digits, and when we say a digit, it's just the character of the numerical system or the normal numbers or digits that we know. That's from 0 to 9. So all the numbers from 0 to 9 are single digits, and that's from 0 to 9. Something like 10 is a combination of 1 and 0. Yes. So bearing is in 3 digits and it's measured in degrees. So let's say we won't have something like 52 degrees. No. We rather have 0.52 degrees. 0.52 degrees, and it's not mentioned as a whole. It's not mentioned as 52. It's rather mentioned as 0.52 degrees. Something like will also be 180 degrees, not 180 degrees. So always bearing has 3 digits. Bearing is in 3 digits, and this is how it's represented. And also the next thing that we would look at is that bearing we always take our reference from the north here. So with every angular direction or angular representation of a direction, we always take our reference from the north, not like other ones like just the normal cardinal point where we just see the direction, whether it's in north or west or any part of the cardinal point. But for bearing, it's specifically from the north to the inner side, but our reference is from the north. So I can say north is the reference point. Yes, these are the basic things that you would have to know when like dealing with bearing. That's it's in 3 digits, and the digits are mentioned individually. They are not mentioned as a whole number like 256 degrees. No, something like that would be 256 degrees. And also we don't have just 52 or 52 degrees. It's always in 3 digits. So if your angle is not up to like a 3 digit, you would have to add 0 to it. That's why over here we have 052 degrees. Yes. So next slide. So we earlier on said that let me draw this. We earlier on said that for bearing, we always start from the north. That's the north is the reference, and every angle between here, the angle between the north and east is 90 degrees. The angle between the east and south is also 90 degrees. The angle between the south and west is also 90 degrees. The angle between the west and north is also 90 degrees. So going round is 360 degrees. Assuming it was to be mentioned in bearing form, it would have been 360 degrees. So for the north has a bearing of either, if we are starting from here, since it's the reference, meaning it will be 0, right? 0 0. So the north has either 360 degrees as its bearing, or 0 degrees as its bearing. Also, assuming we want to check the bearing from north to east, it would have been what? So this is from north. So for east is here, this direction, and the whole angle is 90. So for east, it would have been 090 degrees. The bearing due south would have been 180 degrees. Due west, 90 90 90. So all this. So 270 degrees. And for the north side, as we did, it's either, since it's the reference, let's say we are taking it as the reference or the starting point, so it will be 000 degrees or 360 degrees. That's when it moves a full circle, a full round. So this is something that I would like you all to know. And in our next video, we will deal with more representation of vectors. That's, we'll be representing vectors using the bearing format, using the bearing form to represent these vectors. So this will be it for today's video, and thank you for watching. If you've not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and watch our subsequent videos. Thank you very much.